Hey everybody, welcome to the channel. Welcome back to the channel, whatever the case may be. So today we're going to be doing a review of Superman 2. Superman 2 came out, I believe, in 78. I believe it was 78 or 79. If you want to know for sure on the dates, you might want to look them up if you're curious. But so this one continues off from the first one, and it stars all the same people. You got Christopher Reeve playing Clark Kent and Superman. You have Margot Kidder playing Lois Lane. You have Lex Luthor playing, not Lex Luthor, Gene Hackman playing Lex Luthor, and you have the three villains from Krypton from the first movie that got sent into the Phantom Zone. You got them three: General Zod, Ursa, and Non. And I like them. They make the movie really good. It's actually, to me, Superman 2 is actually better than the first one, in my opinion. But, so let's get into the review. If you have not seen this movie by some chance, please go check it out before you watch this, because it does contain a few spoilers here and there. So, anyway, Superman 2. It starts off, I don't know if it's like directly right off from the first one or if it's a few years, I don't have a clue. But starts off and it gives a big recap of the first movie. You don't even have to watch the movie. You don't even have to watch the first movie, because the beginning of this shows you pretty much the whole movie. And, it's a big recap. And so you got about 5-10 minutes of that. Actually, it's probably not 10 minutes, but it's probably about 5 minutes. And it's good. You got the classic Superman theme, which is an awesome score by John Williams. And I love the Superman theme. It's pretty cool. And so after the big recap, you start off with Lois Lane. She's in Paris doing a story. And there's a bomb that the terrorists put on the Eiffel Tower, and they're going to try to blow up Paris, basically, is what they're trying to do. And so, nutshell, Superman has to go and save her because, as usual, Lois gets herself into trouble. Never fails. And so yeah, that's the beginning of the movie. And then you got this whole love story between Lois and Clark and Superman. They're at Niagara Falls doing a story for some odd reason. And don't even know what the story is really even about. But they're at Niagara Falls, and her and Clark, and she thinks that Clark Kent is Superman. Well, which is correct, but he has to keep his secret safe. And so, she's willing to just prove it no matter what. And she ends up jumping into the water below. And of course, Clark has to save her without turning into Superman, and which he does. And they have this whole big love story thing going on. It's pretty good. I like it. I didn't really as a kid, because when you're a kid you're not really into that kind of thing. But as you get older, you kind of start understanding it. But You know, I was more into the action. Show me Superman saving somebody. Show me Superman fighting a villain. That was me. I wasn't really into the love story thing, and so I found it kind of boring. But now it's not so bad. It doesn't bother me like it did back then. And so 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 they're going back and forth with this little love thing. Meanwhile, by the way, when he Superman got the bomb and threw it up into space, and it exploded in space, which happened to be nearby where Zod and the two criminals were trapped in, and their little cage glass thing that they were trapped in broke, and now they're headed toward the moon and toward Earth, and they have the same powers as Superman. So, meanwhile, Clark and Lois are loving it up, and Superman says that he loves her so much that he's willing to do anything. And his mother tells him that if he's going to be with a mortal, he has to live like a mortal, which to me, that's kind of silly. But it's the movie. What can you do? So he basically loses all of his powers. He agrees to it. He loses all of his powers. And he's now human. Which in a way I thought that was kind of cool, but once I saw him as a human, I was like, please go back to Superman because you are horrible as a human. I'll get into that here in just a minute. But while this is going on, Lois is just standing there watching this happen, and it just shows how selfish that she is, because Superman is about everybody on Earth. Everybody on Earth. He saves everybody, not just one person. And you would think if you saw him doing that, you would say, no, we don't do this because so many people need you and all this and that. And, you know, she would at least try to talk him out of it. But she didn't. She just stood there in awe and just, I don't know. I mean, personally, I would have tried to talk him out of it or whatever, but she's like, I can't believe you did that for me. But, you know, I don't know. Maybe I'm wrong. I don't know. But, so you got three criminals. They're destroying everything on Earth. They start out with this old country town in Idaho. And it's kind of funny, actually. The criminals actually are kind of funny, especially Zod and Non. Non doesn't get the powers right away, and Ursa sets a snake on fire with her heat vision, and she didn't really understand that she has these powers, and Zod's like, you know, we all have the powers, you know, the closer we get to a yellow sun, you have the powers. And so Non tries the same thing, and his electric, you know, his heat vision doesn't work, and it's kind of funny. I think so anyway. And so hang on, I'm fixing my camera there. Okay. So anyway, they're three criminals. They're kind of funny. They have a little bit of humor to them, especially Zod. Like I said, he's probably the funniest because I guess because he's so, you know, British. I guess he's British. It kind of sounds British to me. His accent is just so, you know, it makes it even a little more funnier when he says stuff, you know. And so then they end up going to the White House and basically getting the president to turn over everything to Zod so that he can rule the USA, basically. They say the world, but it's USA basically. And meanwhile, you got Clark and Lois doing their thing, and they go to this diner, and it's so ridiculous. This guy comes in and tries to hit on Lois, and Clark doesn't like it, and he asks the guy to step outside because they're going to fight. And so the guy says, "Okay, after you," and Clark turns around, and the guy hits him from behind, beats the tar out of him. He's bleeding and everything, beats the tar out of Clark, and Clark as a human is the weakest I think I have ever seen anybody ever be. I mean, it's ridiculous. It's like, please go back to being Superman because you suck as a human. And so Clark gets up, walks back over to the guy as if he's going to do something, but Clark just stands there and just stares and just stares at him. Like, it's so silly. He just stares at him for like maybe 5 seconds. 5 seconds. And it's crazy. And then the guy hits him again and beats him up even more. And it's just so, it's funny that it's so silly it's funny. And my goodness, no. Come on now. Go back to being Superman. You're not good as a human. But anyway, they do the criminals, they do all their thing, and Lex Luthor joins up with them. Lex Luthor's kind of playing good and bad in this movie. He's kind of on the fence. He's kind of agreeing with the three criminals, but he's also not agreeing with them and kind of on Superman's side as well. It's different. And so they have a big old fight in the city. By the way, Clark does end up going back and becoming Superman again. And comes back and fights the three criminals, and they fight in Metropolis for, about 10-15 minutes. And so, it's a pretty good fight. It's a pretty good fight. I liked the spot where Superman throws Non into the Coca-Cola. I think it's Non. He throws one of them into the Coca-Cola sign, which was really cool. And probably one of the funniest parts is Superman. They think that Superman's dead because he was trying to save the people in the bus, and the bus crashed, and Superman crashed along with it. And so they think Superman's dead. And meanwhile, the people are mad because three criminals supposedly killed Superman. And so they all gather together and start coming after the three criminals. And the three criminals, one of the funniest parts is this part here where they all the three criminals blow the people back, like they make it to where they can't get to them. And it's almost like a mini tornado, just like wind just blowing everywhere, people's hairs being blown off. And cars are crashing. It's just funny. The people's reactions, and it's very humorous. But anyway, so Superman comes back and and he flies to the Fortress of Solitude, and they follow him along with Lois and Lex Luthor. And they have this big final fight at the very end of the movie. And I'm not going to tell you anything else just in case you haven't seen it. It's a very good ending and all that. But So I really like this movie. Although there are things in it that are kind of don't make sense kind of things. Um, number one, when the Phantom Zone cage thing, the glass thing, breaks after the bomb blows up and sets them free. Now they're out in space. There's nothing else out there. And I noticed this last night when I watched it. Never noticed it before, but I noticed it last night. When the glass thing breaks, you hear, you know how like when you break a window, you hear the glass hitting the ground or hitting something, you know, and that's what you hear in this is you hear the glass break, and then right after that you hear as if glass is like falling down, hitting the ground. So it's like they took another sound effect of glass breaking and hitting the ground or something, and put it in this spot here. And now the shattering of the glass is fine, but the sound of the glass hitting like the ground makes no sense whatsoever because you're out in space. There's no way you're going to hear anything hit the ground because there's no ground. So that's a spot that was kind of odd. And so you got that one, and you got what is the other one? There was a few, and my mind's going blank right now. When the president's saying that he releases all control to General Zod, he mentions the fact that he relinquishes the whole world to General Zod, which, if you look at that logically, he's saying the whole world. He should have been saying the United States of America, because the president doesn't have control of the whole world. He just has control of the United States of America. Now they did make that better later on when Ursa tells Zod that he was the ruler of the whole U.S. of A. And so they kind of fixed it, but it was kind of odd that they would say it that way, the whole world over to General Zod, when clearly that's not the case. But what else? There wasn't many. I think those are the only two that I noticed, unless I'm forgetting some. But all in all, it was a great movie. I mean, there was more positives than there were flaws. But I definitely recommend it if you haven't seen it. And, as usual, Christopher Reeve does a great job. I mean, the whole cast does a great job. And definitely, in my opinion, definitely better than the original. Mainly because of the three criminals and their humor and all that. They make the movie a little more interesting because you got Clark and Lois's little boring. Well, some say I say boring sometimes I don't. It depends. Sometimes I think it's boring, sometimes I don't. But you got their little love story going on, and it kind of just makes the movie slow, is all. But I mean, it's meaningful. Don't get me wrong. It's meaningful, and it's good, but it does kind of slow the movie down. And you got them cutting back and forth from them to the three criminals causing havoc. And but all in all, great movie. I give it probably a 4.5 out of 5. that's about it. That's all I have to say about it. Going to be getting into more superhero movies in the future. I have Batman. He is my one of my favorites as well. And I'm going to be doing those movies as well. So if y'all are interested in that, please Lord, I can't talk. Stay tuned and keep watching, because those are coming in the near future as well. And so be on the lookout for that. But anyway, I guess that's going to do it for this review. If I'm leaving anything out, I apologize. Hopefully I gave you enough information about it. And I guess we'll end it right here. If you're new, like I said, please subscribe. And please leave a big thumbs up. And please leave comments and let me know what you think of this movie and Superman in general and all that. So everybody take care. Thank you for watching. And as usual, I will see you in the next video.